unusually quiet.
You're live.
Because Joe's there.
Loud.
That's scary.
Felt
What's
good.
that? Get up.
Good evening. I would like to welcome you to the City Council meeting of Tuesday, October the 18th. It's glad to see everyone. It seems like we have members in the community in the audience, and we also have our faculty and staff, so good to see everybody. And we have our Miss Katie here from the News Topic. Before we go on with the program and call the meeting, as I call the meeting to order, it's a great moment to be reminded to keep those in prayer. And there's someone very special to all of us that is joining us online, and that's our very own Mayor Joe Gibbons. We are so happy to see him and know that he is doing well, and we cannot wait to have him back in this seat. So we'll proceed on with the meeting. But Mayor, we miss you, and we'll continue to keep you in prayer. It's also good to see our very own Reverend Councilmember Ike Perkins is up and moving around, and having him back. Good to see all the council members. Mr. Presswood is not with us this evening because he got called up serving our community at I think a national or regional golf tournament, so we'll be missing him today. But if there's anyone else in the community that's needing prayer or to keep in thought, we'll be reminded of them as we prepare to stand for a moment of silence. If we will please stand. Salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You're gonna speak and want to say something.
And before we move on, I'm going to give the mayor a chance to come on the line and say a few words if he'd like to, and then we'll go on with the meeting.
Appreciate it, and I am glad to be back in my hometown. I tell you, my wife says I never want to leave town, and getting back into town this past Saturday was the greatest feeling I believe I've ever had. So it was great. Thank all y'all for your prayers and your thoughts and your caring feelings and your texts and phone calls and everything and visits. It's been great. I am feeling better. I am glad, like I say, to be a week and a half now, not quite a week and a half past all this and trying to move on and feel better. But looking forward to being back with you guys just as quickly as possible, and glad I can be on the meeting tonight to hear all the good things that we're going to keep doing for our great city. So thank you very much, and God bless everybody.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to our first item of business today. Item 2 is matters scheduled for public hearing. Item A, as I read, is Underdown Avenue, Lido Place, and Pad Place. A public hearing will be held to consider rezoning of 15 parcels, 4.9 acres on Underdown Avenue, Lido Place, and Pad Place from I-1, I-2 heavy industrial to R6 multifamily residential, and based on the following consistency statements. The request is consistent with policy concepts in the city comprehensive plan to protect neighbors from inappropriate non-residential encroachments, and the recommended R6 zone is consistent with the future land designation on the subject properties of existing high-density residential and future mixed use for commercial. The change is reasonable and in the public interest because it accommodates existing and future residential development and the convenient locations served by the city's infrastructure. At this time, I will open up the public hearing, and we have Hannah is going to be available for questions at this time. If we have any members of the public that would like to come forward to address us, we'll do that at this time. And if not, Hannah, if you'd like to provide some context before we move on.
Sure, yeah. These are historic
historically residential, currently residential properties, but they've been zoned industrial, probably due to the ownership by Bernhardt in the past. But nothing's really changing on the site. It's just that in the course of current development, we noticed that these properties were incorrectly zoned for the residential pattern of the street. So this is kind of a map correction. But if y'all have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
If there are any questions for council or anyone in the public that would like to address the council before we close the public hearing? Okay, haven't seen none. I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to turn this over to council for action or motion.
Madam Chairman, I would say this is in keeping with our comprehensive plan. It seems like she said just to clean up maybe some oversight that had happened years ago, so I will make a motion that we approve item A.
You have heard the motion presented from Councilmember Perdue, and I will call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Anybody opposed? All right, that carries a unanimous. 5-0. The next item that we have up for a public hearing item B is a quasi-judicial hearing. A special use permit at 212 Church Street Northwest. A quasi-judicial hearing will be held to consider a special use permit for a ground floor residential use on the subject property located at 212 Church Street Northwest. A quasi-judicial hearing is a hearing where the city council is acting much like a judge or the jury in court. City council members are now not allowed to talk to people who are for or against any applications prior to the hearing, or if they do, they must disclose this conversation at the public hearing. City council can only consider and make their decisions based on the relevant, admissible evidence that is testified under oath and presented at the hearing. The staff recommends approval of the special use permit for ground floor residential use based on the findings on page 6 of the attached staff report with the following conditions. The first condition, any exterior improvements proposed must meet the standards set forth by the U.S. Secretary of Interior Standards for the treatment of historic properties. 2, the applicant must obtain a zoning permit from the Lenoir Planning Board and change of use permit from the Caldwell County Building Inspector within 2 years of the issuance of the special use permit. I'm going to open up the public hearing, and I'm also, we have Hannah and Jenny available, and then also going to refer to our city manager for
Or city attorney.
or city manager or attorney for additional support as we talk about this quasi-judicial.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
All right. I just wanted to point out a correction on the proposed conditions before I get started. Number 2, the applicant must obtain a zoning permit from the Lenoir Planning Department, not Planning Board. But that condition is just about pulling the proper permits, zoning permit, building permit from building inspections. And usually our special use permits are about intensifying uses in a zoning district, but this is kind of a special use permit for stepping down the intensity within our downtown and maintaining or allowing a residential use in an area that usually sees more commercial and active uses. This building is a contributing building within the National Historic District, and the other condition that planning staff and planning board are recommending is that it maintains that contributing status by following the National Historic Preservation Standards. And I'd also like to submit the findings on page 6 of the staff report for the record. And otherwise, I'm available if you have any specific questions, and the property owner is also here if you have any questions for her.
Do you want the council to consider the staff report as part of your testimony?
Absolutely, I do.
I thought you might.
Okay. And let that be reflected in the record as stated. Is there anyone else that has questions before we close the public hearing and turn it over to council for action? Haven't seen none. So we're going to close the public hearing, and then I'll turn this over to council for action and or motion.
I have no issues with this. I think it's good progress. It's, again, in keeping with what we're trying to do to create housing of different types, and allowing for this would be something that we've talked about. So I will make a motion that we do approve the special use permit as detailed in our agenda.
We have a motion that's been presented by Councilmember Perdue. I'll call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That also carries unanimously, 5 to 0. The next item we have on our agenda, item 3, is the consent agenda items, which consists of item A, the minutes, approval of the city council minutes of Tuesday, October the 4th, 2022, as submitted. Item B, minutes, approve of minutes of committee of the whole meeting, September the 27th, as submitted. Item C, minutes approved of the closed session minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of Tuesday, September the 27th, as reviewed by the city manager and city council. Item D, the ADA transition plan. Staff recommends city council adopt the Americans with Disability Act, ADA transition plan as submitted. The city of Lenoir contracted with Precision Infrastructure Management to develop an ADA transition plan to evaluate the city's adherence to the ADA federal guidelines. And then item E, we have the DRL Group Downtown Master Plan / the Campus Master Plan. Staff recommends authorization from City Council to enter into a contract with the DRL Group by a resolution for the development of the Downtown Lenoir Master Plan featuring the campus, and authorize the city manager to sign the contract.
Madam Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we accept items A through E of the consent agenda.
You have heard the motion made by Councilmember Stevens to accept the consent agenda items as presented. I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? And that carries unanimously, 5-0. Next on our agenda, we have requests and petitions from any citizens. And at this time, if there's any citizens that would like to address the council, you can do so at this time. All right, we'll move on. Reports and boards, commissions. I think our November meeting, last meeting, the mayor mentioned that we had some openings on the boards, and we'll just encourage people to go out on the site, and if you want to serve and on any boards that are out there, those applications are still open, and we'll bring that before the council at our November meeting. Do we have any reports or recommendations from our city manager?
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, a couple items for information this evening. The one-stop early voting begins on Thursday, October 20th through Friday, November 4th, and that's from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., and Saturday, November 5th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that will be held at the Caldwell County Resource Center, which is the old library, and that's located at 120 Hospital Avenue. The Planning Board, are they scheduled to meet on the 24th, Hannah? Yes. So the Planning Board will meet on Monday, October 24th, 5:30 in these chambers. The Committee of the Whole will meet on Tuesday, October 25th, 8:30 a.m., third floor, City Hall. The Foothills Regional Airport Authority will meet on Wednesday, October 26th at noon at the airport. The annual Trick or Treat and Mad Hatter's Pumpkin Parade will be held on Friday, October 28th from 3 to 6 p.m. in downtown Lenoir. And then also, I think this just happened today, but I think the car show is going to be held on Saturday, October 29th. Is that correct?
Almost correct. We'll discuss it tomorrow in staff meeting to make sure all department heads are thumbs up for that, but it's a possibility.
Since the earlier one in the month was canceled due to rain, this is the fallback date. So tentatively, that will be.
No,
No
So-
planning board.
No planning board, okay. And then I have one item tonight for council action. This is the second reading and final reading for the downtown social district. As you recall, last meeting on Tuesday, October 4th, you did the public hearing and the first reading. This directs staff and to prepare a management and maintenance plan and detailed map, and that will be provided to you at the committee of the whole meeting next week. But you have the ordinance for approval tonight, as well as the detailed map of the location of the social district. And if there's questions, we've got several staff members here tonight that helped develop that plan, and we've talked about it several times over the last 3 or 4 months.
You've heard the recommendations from the city manager, and also there is an item for council to make a motion. So I'll turn this item over to council for any conversation and/or action.
Mayor Pro Tem, I recommend that we accept the ordinance as presented for the downtown social district.
We have a motion made by council member Beal to approve this ordinance. I'll call for the question. All those in favor? You have more questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
In our last council meeting, I objected to this movement. However, since then, and my thanks goes out to the committee that organized this, and to Matthew, to your staff for modifying the project to accommodate our citizens in the city of Lenoir. And what that does, Mr. Hildebrand, it goes to show you that kind of staff that we have to not only think of themselves, but accept and receive recommendation from other city people. So with that said, I'd like to accept my motion as being approved. Yes, I agree to it with the modifications that have been made.
All right. So we'll go back to the original, the comment, but the motion was made by Councilmember Beal, and I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Again, that carries unanimously. Then we have any reports or recommendations from our wonderful city attorney.
Our city manager is wonderful.
He's wonderful too. Nothing?
No.
You good? Okay. And then we've heard from the mayor, and we don't have anything on the reports for them. Any information or to talk through from the city council members? Anybody have anything to bring before the council? Well, having heard none, we're going to just go ahead and call this meeting to order and adjourn. Good to see everybody. We'll see you in town, and it's good to see you, and thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you, everybody.